Welcome to This Explainer. Way before bronze bells, wooden drums, or metal flutes were ever a thing, our ancestors were actually finding rhythm in the earth itself. Today, we're journeying back in time to discover how humanity created the world's very first music using literally nothing but stone. It's a wildly fascinating piece of ancient history that proves human creativity and our love for music go way further than most of us realize.
So I want you to imagine standing in a totally silent prehistoric forest. We're talking almost 20,000 years ago. There is no written music, absolutely no metal instruments, and definitely no orchestras. Suddenly, cutting right through that dead silence, a clear, bell-like note echoes through the trees. It's coming from someone simply striking two carefully chosen rocks together. Which begs the question, can a stone actually sing? Well, incredibly, the answer is yes.
And we're not just talking about random thuds or that dull clanking you'd expect from banging rocks together, right? Ancient people figured out that certain rocks possess some seriously incredible acoustic properties. Depending on the stone, they could produce this amazing range of sounds. I'm talking deep, resonant bass tones that would vibrate right through the ground beneath your feet, all the way up to bright, ringing melodies that honestly sound a whole lot like a modern xylophone or a bell.
These definitely aren't your average driveway rocks. They actually have a specific name: lithophones. Derived from the Greek words lithos, meaning stone, and phone, meaning sound, a lithophone is basically a specially shaped stone that produces actual musical notes when struck with another stone or a wooden mallet. Grounded in hard academic fact, these artifacts represent a highly specialized, absolutely crucial piece of ancient technology. Our ancestors were actively hunting down very specific materials purely for the sounds they made.
Now, what's just mind-blowing here is the sheer scale of time we are dealing with. Archaeologists estimate that some of the oldest examples of these instruments date back a staggering 20,000 years. Now you might be wondering, wait, how do we know that since you can't radiocarbon date a rock? Great question. Researchers figured this out by carefully dating the archaeological dirt and sediment layers surrounding the stones where they're found. So the earth itself tells us that this musical tradition was absolutely thriving deep within the Stone Age.
And here's where it gets even cooler. This wasn't just an isolated incident. There was a vast, completely independent discovery of this technology all over the world. We're finding singing stones in Vietnam, India, China, South Korea, France, Africa. Diverse cultures all across the globe figured out that the earth itself could be a musical instrument. Despite the massive geographic distances separating these early human populations, they all independently stumbled upon this exact same acoustic magic. It truly proves that music is just a fundamental, universal language of our species.
But distinct cultures applied this magic in entirely different ways. For example, take Vietnam's famous stone gongs. These are often over 3,000 years old and use multiple carefully chosen stone bars where each stone produces a different pitch. They act together like a prehistoric xylophone to play complete, complex melodies. On the flip side, over in India, you have these incredible musical pillars. While they're a bit younger, they're intricately carved right into ancient temple architecture. When you gently tap them, they ring out with specific resonant notes. It's just a beautiful, continuous evolution of this fascination with resonant stone across human history.
So we have to ask the obvious question here. How exactly does a dense, heavy rock actually vibrate enough to create a traveling sound wave? It feels totally counterintuitive to everything we know about heavy stones, right? Well, the secret is all in the acoustics. When a suitable stone is struck, it vibrates, and those vibrations push against the surrounding air, creating sound waves that travel straight to our ears. But as you can probably guess, not just any old rock can pull this off.
Prehistoric humans were essentially the world's very first acoustic physicists. Through a lot of keen observation and relentless trial and error, they figured out that a few very specific factors control the exact pitch of the sound. We're talking about the length of the stone, its thickness, its density, its overall shape, and, this is key, its internal crystal structure. They discovered that dense metamorphic and volcanic rocks resonate exceptionally well. They literally had to scour the landscape for these exact geological properties just to find a piece of the earth that could hold a tune.
And their craftsmanship? Absolutely impeccable. When researchers measure the vibration frequencies of these stones using modern acoustic analysis, they find something completely astounding. These ancient stone instruments produce surprisingly accurate musical intervals. This completely proves our ancestors weren't just randomly banging rocks together. They were intentionally selecting and meticulously shaping these stones with immense patience, tuning them with remarkable skill to create deliberate, beautiful harmonic patterns.
So why go through all that intense effort? Well, while we don't know their definitive, exact purpose, researchers believe these stones were deeply woven into the human experience. They likely accompanied sacred rituals and ceremonies.
They were almost certainly played during celebrations and big community dances. Also, given how clearly and how far that crisp sound carries, they might have even been used for long-distance communication across sweeping valleys. Or, maybe they just provided some much-needed entertainment after a long day of work. Whatever the exact reason, they really bridged the gap between sacred rites and everyday prehistoric life.
Now, because the original artifacts are just incredibly precious, they are safely preserved behind glass in museums around the world. They're way too fragile to be played regularly today. But that doesn't mean the music has to stop. Modern musicians and archaeologists are actually keeping this ancient heritage alive by performing on scientifically and mathematically precise replicas. These incredibly faithful recreations let modern audiences hear the exact same tones and sounds that would have echoed across those prehistoric landscapes thousands of years ago.
It all leads to this profoundly beautiful realization. Think about this quote. The first concert in history happened beneath the open sky, where the earth itself became the world's first musical instrument. I just love that. Music didn't start in some grand palace or a massive concert hall. It began with pure human curiosity, with careful listening, and with the simple, universal act of striking one stone against another just to see what would happen.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one lingering thought about our deep ancestry. If given the chance, would you want to hear a 20,000-year-old instrument played live? Just take a second and imagine that exact ringing sound echoing through a prehistoric forest so long ago, carrying the timeless rhythm of human imagination. Keep exploring, keep listening, and definitely always stay curious about the mysteries of our ancient world.